This is Dave T1963, and I just got back from filming some shooting to the weak side, and unfortunately, I guess the battery in my shotgun mic was dead because I have no sound. So I'm going to try to do this holding my cell phone and just watching the video and talk us through that. So let's look at this first example of rotating on a platform. Now, as you can see, this is me setting up in the tree, and hang on just a second. Let me get this to where I got my mouse set up to where I can pause this. Okay. I've paused it now. I'm making a lot of assumptions in this video. I am assuming that I am going to be set up on this tree with my bow hung on my strong side or my left side, and a buck is coming in from my left and right and caught me completely off guard. In other words, my bow's hung up on the strong side. I'm sitting in my saddle, and a buck is, in this case, 9 yards from the base of my tree and has got me caught off guard. Now, another thing about this video is, obviously, this camera's focused directly in on me. If a buck was looking at my tree, I would not try to move at that point. I'd wait till he started to walk. So once again, that's just the limitations of having a camera. I don't have a... This is my grandson doing the filming off of a tripod. So normally a deer would be walking this way in this scenario and completely caught me off guard. So let's go a little bit further. Now here I am still trying to talk through exactly what I just told you, but now I'm sitting down in my saddle and I'm set and I'm caught off guard. Here comes the buck. I see him. He's right out in front of me looking at me. In this case, the camera looking at me, but now he starts walking to my weak side. Okay, let me pause it right there. What I just did right here, you may not have noticed that, is when I first got up in this tree, I pre-measured my tether. In other words, I stood on my platform and I rotated to my weak side, and I determined exactly how much tether length I needed to keep my tether taut, but still allow me enough slack to get around to my weak side. And then I tie a stopper knot in my tether. So what I just did right here, the buck is coming in and moving this way. I realize I'm going to have to switch over to my weak side. So what I did is I stood up and I pushed my Kong duck, or if you're using a ropeman, down to that stopper knot. That's step one in preparing to now rotate on this platform. Let's continue. Now I'm going to pick up my bow, and I'm going to keep it as tight to the tree in my body as I can. Now the buck's continuing to move further over here, so I'm trying to keep on this side a little bit of the tree, and I'm rotating on my platform. Now, this rope that you see hanging down here, that's my lineman belt. I forgot to take it off, and I didn't use it to get in this because I'm only about 5 foot up in the tree. So normally this wouldn't even be hanging there. So you're going to see some movement there, but that would not be happening with my tether, okay? Let's continue. I continue to rotate around the tree. There is a little movement, I give you that. And here I am. Now I'm fully rotated and I can take the shot. Now once again, this is at 9 yards looking directly at me. And you can see, for the most part, most of my silhouette is hidden by that tree. If I was up 15 or 12 foot high and the buck was just walking through here, the odds of him picking up that movement are very slim. Now, the reason why I set this up being caught totally off guard, normally in this kind of a tree, if I didn't have a bunch of limbs to negotiate, I would just have simply, if I saw the buck coming, I would have set up and shot him off this side of the tree. I would have let him walk past. I would have rotated a little bit and popped him right off that side of the tree. It's an easy shot. I've made that shot hundreds of times. If you were set up in a tree stand and you got caught totally off guard like I did here, you would be sitting on your tree stand and your bow would be hung up on a hanger of some type. All of a sudden the buck's 9 yards away from you. You're still going to have some movement. You've got to get that bow in your hand. You've got to be able to now let the buck walk by and rotate on that seat and still draw your bow. The difference being, you're fully exposed on this side of the tree, where in a saddle, you're on the back side. Both work. I'm not going to say that stands. I've killed a lot of deer out of stands on the front side of trees. I'm just saying I prefer a saddle because in a tree like this where I don't have a bunch of limbs to negotiate, I'm going to set up like I just did here, not fully completely behind the tree. I'm going to set up to where with very minimal movement, I can shoot off this side. And in the rare event that I get caught off guard, I just showed you my preferred method of how to rotate on that platform and get that. Now, if I was set up this high in a tree, or let's say this was 10 foot high, and I had a ring of steps and I got caught on this, I would have to either rotate around the tree this way or behind the tree to get to my weak shot, and I'd still have to get on my tether. And at that height, that's a lot of movement. I have been busted too many times trying to do that from a ring of steps. If you're up 25, 30 foot up in a tree, that's a different scenario. But in a lot of the trees that I'm in, this is what I'm facing. So this is one way of getting around. The next one I'm going to show you is actually putting this bow over the top of the tether. Now, most of you are shooting 30-something inch compound bows. This is a 64-inch recurve. And I took this bow out on purpose because I wanted to demonstrate doing all this with a very long bow and negotiating that tether. And as you can see, my tether is chest high. I'm not one of those advocates for a long tether and a high tether hookup. If you were to do that, what I personally would do is I would have that bow hook right in front of me, right here, with my bow hanging here and my tether coming over the top of it. And that way, if I had to shoot, and I'm looking like I'm on this side of the tree, if I had to shoot to my weak side, I would just reach around on the right side of my tether, grab my bow, and pull it over to my weak side. If the deer came to my left side, I would reach with my left bow, grab my bow, and bring it to my strong side. So this is one video. In a minute, I'll upload the video where we go over top of the tether.